Hi guys, sorry about the weird lighting. I'm filming on my computer instead of a phone, and it's also getting dark, and I'm also a bit far away, which is why I'm using a microphone. It's a microphone. There's a microphone in there, even though there's like a weird sack thing over it. Anyway, today I wanted to just have a little chat about being a vegan, about becoming a vegan, about when I did it, how I did it, why I did it, and how I felt about it. So let's start at the very beginning and let's go back to the past when I became a vegetarian. I became a vegetarian when I was 10, and it was like from one day to the next. Just once I made the decision, that was it. And my sister became a vegetarian too, as she was 2 years younger than I was, and so did my best friend. I think it was me and my best friend were talking about it. We decided my sister wanted to do it as well. So at first, my parents, who weren't vegetarians, were a bit kind of stressed about the whole situation, and because they didn't really know. It wasn't so common back in the 90s. And at first, I remember my mother tried to persuade me to be like a vegetarian during the week and then non-vegetarian at weekends. And although the idea was tempting to me, because I used to really love eating chicken burgers in McDonald's almost every Saturday, I just knew, I was like, no, it's all or nothing. It would be so stupid to not be a vegetarian at the weekend. And I was a bit sad about it, because there were meaty things that I did like. What I really didn't like was seeing the kind of the veins and the bits of life inside, like chicken drums. When I used to eat chicken drumsticks, the legs of the chicken, I really didn't like the little bits. Not because it was like, I don't know, I just thought it was really disgusting. But then at the same time, I used to hate the little bits of fruit and yogurt. Oh my god, it creeped me out so much. So it's a bit weird. But one of the things that I knew I was really going to miss was chicken tandoori. Not because of the taste, but really because of, it was like a thing, a routine that I had with my father. We used to, because the others, my mother and my sister weren't really into the tandoori that much. But we used to love, it was like a big thing. Get the little bits of chicken and paint them with the tandoori paste, and then put them in the oven for hours and ages, and it was really nice tasting at the end. So I was kind of sad. I kind of felt like it was kind of like insulting my father, or being mean, like taking that experience away from us. But it just wasn't a strong enough reason for me not to be a vegetarian. So that was it. Overnight change. After a while, my parents both went vegetarian as well. Anyway, no need to go on so much about that. So I was a vegetarian for years, and then I heard about vegans and veganism a couple of times, and I think this is when we were in Govinta's, which is a vegetarian restaurant in Dublin. It's run by the Hare Krishnas, so I think veganism was something religious. I didn't really give it much thought, and I didn't really care about it. It sounded awfully difficult. So I never even considered it for myself. And then I was working in an office when I was 19, and I was the only vegetarian in the group of women who were working in administration. I think we were well, obviously we were, but I think that I can't even remember the name of our section of the office, administration. And the boss of our section was really interested in food and nutrition, and she was always going on these like cleanses, fruit cleanse, and then she'd be drinking only juice for 1 week and things like that. But she wasn't a vegetarian. But she started giving up dairy products when she was reading about their effect on health, and she said she was feeling much better. And then she said to me, why do you eat dairy? And I was like, what? Why not? And she was like, but aren't you a vegetarian because like of animal ethics? And that was the first time that I heard about the dairy industry and the horrors that go on there. She told me all about it, that she'd seen some documentaries about it and how they treat the cows and things like that. And I was like horrified, but I was kind of thinking as well at the same time, but this is in America, this doesn't happen in Ireland. These are those big farms, and here it's okay. I didn't even really want to listen to her or pay her much attention, although it was kind of a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. But I just put it out of my mind. I wasn't even really that much into milk either. It's just the convenience. Like, I used to have a bit of milk in my tea, just a bit, because I actually hated the taste of milk. But other things like chocolate, cakes, processed things that you buy, because I used to eat a typical person, just all sorts of weird shit from the supermarket. So that was the seed that had been planted. And then later that year I went to Thailand for the first time, I think when I was 20, and I was in Chiang Mai. I spent a few months there. I was studying massage, Thai massage and spa therapy, because that's what I studied in Ireland. I used to be a massage therapist, sports massage therapy, although I don't do that anymore. And there, of course, as you can imagine, I encountered some more vegans. Although this was in 2006, so I'm sure things have changed a lot since then. But there was this one woman in particular who I really remember, and her name was Rachel, and she was 32, and she looked so much younger than 32, and she was a yoga teacher from the US, I can't remember where, and she was a raw vegan. So I was like, oh my god, how is this possible? I just thought that she must have the strongest willpower in the world to, like, first of all be a vegan, but then on top of that to only be eating raw foods. And she was like she just looked so healthy. Like, she was like glowing with health, just really clear eyes, clear skin, like really, just glowing totally, and a really healthy body as well, lovely and slim but with really strong muscles, obviously yoga teacher. So we were talking one day about veganism with her, and I was kind of like, at this point I was kind of getting irritated by vegans, because I was like, what's the point? Like, it's so unnecessary. You're just looking for problems now. You're looking for a fight. You not eating flesh is enough, and that's okay. I didn't really say it in those words, but that was my attitude. And so I remember one day she told me that she didn't use wool, and I was like, what? Okay, leather I can understand, but wool, come on, you can't have a problem with wool. I mean, what's the problem? And I remember her response was, she was very calm, very sweet, and she said, I just don't want any animal to be hurt while getting that wool. So, I just I was really kind of not unpleasant, but not very nice. I just thought she was crazy. Because, of course, at that point I had no idea about the shearing industry, the wool industry, and the shearing practices, and how a lot of sheep do get very hurt in the wool industry. So it was later that year, nearly the end of 2006, when I finally really started considering veganism, after hearing, it was kind of coming in from all areas. But all of the vegans were really nice. They just said things in nice ways. Nobody actually told me how horrible all of these egg industry and dairy industries are, apart from my boss in the office, the first one. And I was looking up some things about it online, and at that point to be honest, I was just jealous of vegans. I was like, how can they do it? Like, the concept of having that much willpower, I was jealous of people who I thought would have that much willpower. But in the end, I was like, I have to do it just have to do it. I just couldn't fight against it anymore. The thing that I was most nervous about was, and it might sound weird, but maybe some people can relate to this, was like, the more you look, the more problems you see. So I was kind of like, can I just not see them and, just stay in my bubble? Because I knew that once you start realizing the problem with one item that you buy, then there's going to be something else, and then you'll never be able to buy it again without feeling bad, or you'll just won't buy it again. So, I was thinking this with things like makeup and, clothes and all sorts of things, and I just thought it was going to be really difficult to live a normal life, or an easy life, just the way I always had, without supporting industries that cause suffering. So I was kind of afraid to look things up, like sometimes, like, is this makeup vegan? Is lip balm vegan? And things like that. But anyway, in the end, I got over that fear. And so started going vegan at the end of 2006, beginning of 2007. It wasn't like a complete stop because, chocolate. But in the end, I think I achieved it around March of 2008. Sorry, I'm giving the wrong dates. So it was around the end of 2007. Beginning of 2008 was when I started trying to go vegan, and then around March 2008 was when I more or less became vegan. However, for a couple of years, I still wasn't really an educated vegan. I still didn't know much about the dairy industry. I don't know. Why didn't I just look it up? Maybe I was looking in the wrong place. Or the egg industry. Because for a number of years, I still had plans to someday eat eggs and dairy again in the future. So I thought, well, it's something to look forward to now. If I miss it now, I'm going to have it again in the future. So it's not a problem. Because I didn't know that, the dairy industry is only, I thought that cows needed to be milked and that we were helping them by doing that. I didn't know that they impregnate them again and again and again, and they're only producing milk because they had a baby who was taken away from them. So I didn't know that. I thought I could get a goat in the future and it would just magically give me milk. Doesn't really make evolutionary sense. And the eggs, again, I thought the eggs were just, that it was natural that chickens produce an egg every day and that we're, just helping them by taking the egg away. And so I suppose because of this lack of knowledge, I became non-vegan for a while. And that was when I was in India. And it was partially because I thought, I still didn't really know the ins and outs of the dairy industry. And I also thought, well, India, Hindus worship cows, so they must be treating them okay. So I guess it's just like a symbiotic relationship going on there. Really should have done some research. But anyway, so yeah, I drank milk and other dairy products in India while I was there for a couple of months. It wasn't really a good decision because it didn't really make me feel very well. I never liked milk for my whole life. I hated the taste of it. Weirdly enough, I actually liked the taste of milk in India. It just has a different taste. I don't know what it is. Things like curd and, the really nice yogurty stuff they do, and milk in the chai tea. I just really loved all of that. But it made me feel bad. It made me feel tired and weird. And I'm pretty sure it was the milk and the dairy, because as soon as I started cutting it out and focusing more on fruits, I felt really healthy and amazing again. And then as well, so then went back to being vegan again after that. But then there was a time in Spain when I was eating eggs, because they were eggs that, they were a friend's chicken's eggs. And I knew, and they were chickens that were really, probably still are, really well cared for. And I knew that they were really happy, and so I ate the eggs. So obviously in that case there was no suffering, but I really don't want to repeat that experience, because since I completely gave up eggs after I moved away from that woman and where she lives, I hate the taste of eggs. I haven't tasted them, but I hate the smell of them. Oh my god, I have absolutely no desire to ever eat eggs again. So I'm really glad I had this like long time away from eggs. I feel like, you know, when you spend time away from something, you can see it how it truly is, and it's really vile and disgusting. I just can't stand the smell of eggs now. I think they're absolutely vile. I don't know how I ever could have eaten omelets and things like that. And even when in the future I plan to adopt some chickens, hopefully some chickens, some battery hens who have been rescued and restored to health. I would love to do that in the future when I have more space and the appropriate aviaries and things like that. I'm so not going to eat them. There's no way I would eat their eggs. No way. Then, like, they probably will lay eggs. Maybe not as frequently as they used to, but when they lay eggs, they're just going to be for the other birds, for themselves or for the other birds, because it's good, it's healthy for them to eat eggs or even eat their own eggs. Okay, so this has been really rambly. I think I'll just leave it till another video to talk about what I feel are the benefits of being vegan. I've been vegan now, you know, I would take off about a year for the milk and the eggs, although it probably wasn't that much, but we'll just say a year. So I've been vegan since 2008 to 2017 is 9 years, but taking off 1 year, so 8 years. Or if you want to count since the eggs, 5 years. And it's definitely one of the best things I've ever done. Just going back before the end to what I thought of veganism before and now what I think of it now, it's just not a tenth as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It's so much easier than you would expect, and that was even in 2008. There are so many more options now. It's really not difficult. And all the other things that I was afraid of, you know, like I won't be able to buy makeup anymore, things like that, there are so many options. So much vegan makeup, vegan products, there's everything. And you know, a lot of that stuff you don't need anyway. You realize after a while that it's really unnecessary. But I'll get into that on the benefits video. So thanks for listening in. Let me know if you've had any similar experiences or thoughts before going vegan. And I'll see you soon.